Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thanks for getting up early or late or whatever it is to join myself and the team here today to excitedly launch SigmaNEST version 24 product suite. It's a big thing. I know the product team and the development teams have worked really hard for the last year to bring this out, and I know everybody's excited to get it in the hands of all of you in the sales team and get a first look at it and do all of that. So let me start. For anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Kevin Keane, and I'm involved in product marketing and product strategy. And for everybody who already does know me, it's good to see you again. Happy to be here. And then we have a nicely packed session here today. There's a few components to it. First, I want to talk about the structure of the solution itself. Like, what is the SigmaNEST product suite? How do we understand it today? A little bit about who our customers are, how we understand them, how we think about them. Then we're going to get into the product itself, and we've got some nice content from each of the product owners, and then we have some just follow-up information for how to learn more. We'll talk about some of the training that's in place already for it. The SigmaNEST solution itself. And this might be old hat to some of you, but for some of the newer people, it rests on, what we call the three technology pillars. There is the CAD/CAM category of products. There's the business systems, which is, the MRP, SigmaQuote, what have you. And then we have the shop floor solution, shop manager, scheduling, data capture, color upload, all of the things that exist on the factory floor. The three technology pillars themselves, are used to deliver value or to bring some solution to the customer, and you can think of those solutions as adding value in the following 5 areas. We call these the 5 M's. There's material, motion, machines, manpower, and management. So again, the 3 technology pillars are the 3 categories, and these 5 M's. Now we'll drill down here to help everybody remember what the M's are, what they really mean. Material. This is just any product features that can intelligently reduce the amount of raw material consumed or used in line with the business goals of our end users. For some people, it might be just part placement, to run the machine better, parts closer to the edge, or, part spacing. For other people, it might be yield, actually getting more parts on the material. The idea here is to, we align with the customer's business goals. We learn to listen to them and not just, say it's any one thing. Then motion, the motion M is any product feature that can amplify the operational efficiency of the cutting, bending, or other fabrication machines on the shop floor. So the concept here is that we help the machines move in a more efficient way. And operational efficiency could be faster cutting, but it could also be something like safer cutting. If our solution is helping people be safer on the shop floor, that also qualifies. So thinking a little bit more broadly about these things starts to make sense as well. The next key point here on the M's is machines, and what that means to us is that the SigmaNEST product offering is brand agnostic. Our open architecture integrates with the best-in-class brands of machines and software on the market. And in the past, we might have said that was just, the cutting machines, but today we're integrating, at all levels, right from the beginning, from the business systems, the SimTranses, the press brake software integration, all the way out and onto the factory floor again, where we have post processors for machinery. So it's the idea that we integrate with both physical and virtual machinery there that our customers have, and that's how we play in that space. Manpower, any product feature that provides workflows to more effectively leverage available manpower than existed previously. It's self-explanatory, but it's also something to pay attention to, because we can often save a lot more time, belong to a lot more people than initially is obvious. It's easy enough to think of the CNC programmer or the machine operator, but when you look at the other products, the business systems products and the shop floor products, We might be saving crane time. We might be saving, forklift operator time. There's a, as we look more closely, we begin to think about this. And when we see the software videos today, we want to be thinking about these things. Every time you see a piece of software, you can ask, okay, how are we helping here? What are we saving? What value are we bringing? And the last of the M's is manage or management. And these are product features that empower your organization. In this case, it's our customer organizations, to drive, direct, monitor, and manage the activities, to achieve their strategic goals. So that can be, anything from the material inventory management to the, Sigma quote, to, some of the shop floor software features, whether it's the NCR reporting, or it could really be any of them. Any of the features that can empower the customer organization to better manage and have a grasp, on their activities for their strategic goals. So, the three technology pillars and the 5 M's together, you can think of those as a structure that when you walk into a shop or into a meeting, you're keeping both of those, active in your mind as you're understanding, who you're talking to and what they need. And speaking of who you're talking to, when we think about our customers themselves, and how we bring them new piece of software, it's helpful to start thinking of them as, as actually the people at the customer sites. Who are these people? What is the work they do every day? When we, walk through the shop with them or walk through the office, how are the ways that they work different from the place maybe that we visited yesterday or last month or before, and how can the SigmaNEST software perhaps help these people individually? And then you ask as well, do these roles change over time? As companies change and grow, maybe they buy different types of machinery and different, roles come and go. They buy different office software, and these things come and go as well. So this is a moving landscape. It's never just static. And so all of us, we sort of get better at updating our own perceptions and notions of how people are working and how we have to adapt to change to help them work in the future. So, what are a small question here, just in the chat. Like, what are some examples of some types of benefit that you have witnessed, the SigmaNEST software bring? Maybe it was reducing scrap, maybe it was saving cutting time. Just go ahead and type into the chat maybe some other benefits that you've seen beyond those two easy ones, just so we can see some examples. Can you get to the chat? Yeah, we've got remnant tracking. Anybody else? Any takers? Reduce the number of programmers required to program the machines. I mean, color offload is the name of a product. On its own, it's not a benefit, just as a distinction. So like what was the benefit in that case that color offload brought? Like who benefited from that? And then, and I see better nesting there. I mean, if we think through that one level more, who benefits from better nesting? Like the actual people on the shop floor. Yeah, I mean, there we go. Better communication from the office to the shop floor. Like that's drilling down that extra level, to understand what the benefit is separate from the product or the feature. Yeah, so continuous nesting again is the name of a feature, but the benefit from that is what? It's just the that next level way of thinking to get into it. I mean, yeah, organization while offloading machines. So I assume that means just being more organized and having more control over the process. Combining work orders. Yeah, I mean, automatic feedback for reconciling information. I mean, a benefit there could be, fewer errors from not making typing mistakes, in addition to, obviously saving time as well. So, these are great example of benefits. And then, yeah, improved speed and ease of use makes less errors. So yeah, these are good, and then we think about, who benefits. Like I see improved workflow and organization there. I mean, that's obviously true, but it's also very, very generic. When we go into a particular customer, the question is, whose workflow are we improving? And are we always improving it? Are we always improving everybody's workflow, or is it just more important to improve the workflows that matter the most? Maybe we end up adding time for one person, but we end up, simplifying and improving it for 10 others. So it's a thing. And the reason, this all matters is to be less abstract and to understand, the people and the actual problems they have, at our customer sites. Programming time, machine efficiency. So what I've done here is I've made a small chart to, can help, hopefully will help reveal some of these, and I hope you can see that. It's kind of small on my side. So this has, some examples of, some benefits and beneficiaries. And so, I just highlighted 3. You can read through them here, as an example. You can, use this as an aid from left to right. So if we look at the yellow benefit here, can anybody tell me what the yellow benefit is in this case? Using the first column and then the second column, we can see that, we're going to reduce scrap. So that's, an example, because, we can talk about the benefits always as, kind of active words, as verbs, if we really think about it. We can save labor hours, we could save money, we could, save material, things like that. We could reduce or delete workflow steps, along the way. So there's, you can think about, these are action words that, can describe the sort of the benefits verb, and then these are potentially the resource that's involved. It could be anything from labor hours to tool life to carbon footprint. And then we have 2 types of beneficiaries here. We have people and actual employee roles, and then we have, non-people roles, but that still matter. The forklift, we could save, wear and tear on the crane, for instance, by having more, optimized movement of material, or, fewer movements of material through the shop. So, can anybody spot the blue benefit there, and just type it in the task so I can see that, somebody can follow the nature of the chart here. Anybody want to take a shot? Well, I guess not. So in this case, the idea is, we were lowering the capital expenditure, for maintaining the computers and the computer network, right? So that could be making a case that, we're able to, have fewer programmers, or whatever it is, whatever our pitch is, but we can describe the benefit in terms of resources and in terms of ways the customer can understand. And then exactly, somebody already jumped on and added another one. The green benefit, then we're going to say we're going to improve communication, let's say, between the CAM programmer and the machine operator. I think RU had identified that, earlier on here in the chat as a type of benefit that can be achieved, from the software. So, when you think about any customer or prospect you visit, and you just work down the list, oftentimes you can realize that the depth and scope of the benefit can be a lot greater than is commonly acknowledged just from the standard demo or the standard PowerPoint or the first conversation you have. So it gives you a way to to dig deeper and to push the value of the product more. So what I would like is when we're looking at, thanks, Ari, when we're looking at the software features here that the product team are going to reveal, I would like you to be thinking about this. If you're talking to a prospect or customer, I mean, who are the real people that are going to benefit? Is it the material handlers? Is it the management employees? Is it the IT department? SigmaNEST can save money for IT departments. That can be a huge, savings. By being methodical here. So as you work through these, I mean, even take notes, jot down for yourself, who you think you might pitch these individual things to as you see them. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to be able to sort of hopefully this will help. But we're going to move on now to the products, because that's why you're really here. You don't want to hear me talk. I know this. But let me introduce Paul Ikeda. Paul is our product development manager here, director, sorry, and we'll get Paul on board here. Let me see there. You're live, Paul, I think.
I'm here. Yeah, you gave me no warning, so I just turned on my camera and unmuted myself, and so I'm ready to go.
All right.
I'm just sipping on coffee, so.
That's all right. I'm doing the same.
Okay. Well, as far as am I supposed to be able to control the slides, or is that something I ask you to move?
I can navigate for you. I think we're only going to have one navigation anyway.
Okay. Well, introducing me. That's what this slide's for. All right. So I guess the first pillar that we're going to cover is CAD/CAM. So as with previous meetings, feel free to ask stuff in the chat and we'll come back to it, or if it's something kind of bigger, we can obviously follow up afterwards. Seems like most people have found the chat.
Excellent. So I'll just we'll kick it forward. I'm here with Dakota Baird, product owner at SigmaNEST. Dakota, could you tell us a little bit about your role at SigmaNEST?
Sure. So I'm a product owner on the development side. I work with our import-export teams on the SigmaNEST product, as well as a couple of our 3D products like SigmaTube, SigmaCTL, SigmaDSTV.
Very good. And I understand that your teams have some new features that you're really excited about for the version 24.
Yeah, in version 24, we're really excited to introduce a kind of new workflow for the Bend programming customers.
Okay. How does that work and who does it benefit?
Sure. So it's a new import option in SigmaNEST that more seamlessly integrates the Bend programming into the SigmaNEST part creation. So we're looking at customers who were previously doing all of their programming outside of SigmaNEST, making a flat pattern and having to import that into SigmaNEST as separate processes. So now it's more integrated. It's a single import option, and you immediately get your SigmaNEST part after you're finished.
Okay, so it's an automatic pass through of the files and the data that makes it we save time and we have fewer errors.
Yeah, of course. So we're giving users all of the different property mapping options that they'd be used to, and picking up a lot of bending information like time estimates, setup time estimates, where's the bend program, things like that. Okay, so you mentioned estimates. So that information pipes all the way through, not just the CAD/CAM, but through to the business system as well. Yeah, so things like number of bends have been historically used on the quoting side for a bend part. So that's now, automatically mapped to a SigmaNEST part data field and can be picked up by SigmaQuote. That's impressive. And so then that information, if they're using MRP, then that's fully integrated because all of that is present for the quoting and on through the shop floor. Absolutely, and a lot more accurate because we're getting that information directly from the Bend programming process rather than having to pick it up from a DXF file or someone manually typing that in. Okay, so for a user that just has CAD/CAM and shop floor, we have integration there. But for somebody that has a more end-to-end connected shop environment, there's even more integration there, so it scales with the business. Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic, Dakota. Let's take a look. Yeah.
I can see how much work went into that and why that feature matters.
Yeah, so we're trying to give programmers a workflow that has a lot less steps than before and also a lot more information about the bending process itself, things that they weren't able to access before.
Well, I mean, it's clear that that'll help bend programmers, CAD/CAM programmers, quoters and estimators, and indeed, other people in the business.
Yeah, the entire company basically, right?
That's fantastic. I mean, it totally ties in with, our overall theme of working to tie in our CAD/CAM, our shop floor, and our business systems with every release.
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks, Dakota.
You're welcome.
I'm here with Alex Dorner, product owner. Alex, tell us a little bit about your role at SigmaNEST.
Yeah, so my name is Alex Dorner. I'm a product owner for the SigmaNEST products. My main area of responsibilities are the nesting engines and the profile cutting engines.
So Alex, what's something your team is really excited about in version 24?
Yeah, one of the things I'm most excited about is that we've introduced the punch nesting capabilities into our HD SuperNest engine.
And who does that help?
That's going to help mostly any punch customer or punch combi customer who's doing a lot of auto nesting, want to do auto tooling.
Okay, and what does it do? How does it help?
So what we do is we use the punch tool boundary to nest, and what that does is that ensures that we get a solid skeleton, we get good clearance between each part.
Oh, I see. So by using the outer boundary of the punch hits, we then get a more consistent web width in the skeleton, so we have more predictable stability.
Yeah. The goal is for this to be quicker and easier and extend that punch nesting to the HD SuperNest engine, which for a while has been our most powerful engine. And we want to make things easier for our customers.
Okay, so our best nesting engine just got even better by doing this.
Absolutely.
So with a more consistent web width on the skeleton, I imagine that has benefits like right at the machine on the shop floor too.
Yeah, having that consistent web width is just going to make things run more smoothly at the machine. You're probably going to result in more uptime.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, if the sheet sits flatter and behaves better on the machine, there's just less reason to have stoppages.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. Let's take a look.
Starting in version 24, users will be able to take advantage of autodynamic nesting with HD SuperNest. Users can make the decision to pre-tool parts or leave them untooled and allow SigmaNEST to tool them before nesting. Pre-tooled parts rotations will be limited by the rotations of the tools that are applied in part mode. Parts that are not pre-tooled will be auto-tooled before nesting at their 0 rotation, and rotations will be limited by the tools applied. Any combination of pre-tooled parts and untooled parts will work. During the nesting process, the part clearance that is defined in task parameters will be used from tool edge to tool edge to ensure that the skeleton integrity is maintained.
That's impressive, Alex. I mean, that's a big change from what we used to do. I can see why your team built this.
Yeah, for sure. So, the goal is to make things easier on the programmer and make things more consistent out on the shop floor for the operators.
I mean, and that falls right in line with the vision of, just more tight integration between the office and the shop floor and just continually pushing toward a more productive company.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Alex, I know your team did a lot of work on the NC side as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so in version 24, we're pretty excited. We've added a new option called Part Internal Contour Sequence Control. And what that does is it allows a user to set on the part level a new sequence setting that when they apply Auto NC will follow that sequence.
Okay. So in part mode today or single part programming, where there's existing strategies like big to small or left to right, those strategies can be applied at the part level, and then they're just remembered.
Yes.
And then anytime that part is used on a different machine, that's just remembered then in the future.
Yeah.
So that gives us a more guaranteed outcomes more of the time.
Yeah, sure. So in the past, a user, in order to accomplish this same thing, would need to go into the part mode and a lot of times have to apply NC and save it. So with this new setting, they can set it on the part, and now it's not locked to a machine. They can put it on any nest for any machine, and when they apply Auto NC, we're going to follow the sequence that was set on that part.
I mean, that sounds like it'll bring a lot of reliability and predictability to Nest programming.
Yeah. So I think just not having to go to part mode should reduce the amount of clicks just to program a part. And then in the end, when we can ensure that that sequence is followed, you're likely to get higher quality and more efficient Nest.
Sure. I mean, and anything to reduces clicks makes it easier for new users to learn it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take a look.
In version 24, we've added a new setting to parts called internal contour sequence. In previous versions of SigmaNEST, when you clicked Auto NC on a nest, all parts would get NC applied to them with a min-move strategy. In some scenarios, this is not the most desirable output. So in version 24, we've added this new option where users can change the internal contour sequence of each individual part. That setting can be saved to the part, and when Auto NC is clicked, we will use the strategy set to each part to apply NC, allowing our users to get the most desirable outcome for each individual part.
Yeah, no, I mean that's going to make a difference. I mean, it's plain to see that will be a productivity enhancer for shops, especially where there's multiple programmers. Maybe the experienced person sets the strategy, and then other people are just doing the nesting, or however it's used, really.
Yeah. So we really wanted to take an opportunity to make things easier on the programmer and then more consistent for the operator.
Well, I think you've succeeded. Thanks, Alex, for that.
Thank you.
I'm here today with Christina Donigi, product owner for SigmaNEST. Christina, tell us a little bit about your role here at SigmaNEST.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm one of the product owners here at SigmaNEST. I'm over kind of the punch area as well as post-processing, so I focus a lot on our punch and combo machines.
Oh, very, very good. Thanks, Christina. So I understand, Christina, did you have some new features in version 24?
Yeah, so one feature I'm really excited about is an expansion we did to our pattern punching called elastic tooling.
Wait, what's pattern punching? Explain that to me quickly.
Yeah, so pattern punching is a way for the programmers to kind of train the software in the way they want to tool things. So everybody has different parts, maybe specific ways they want to tool certain areas. So pattern punching allows our programmers and allows the production managers to just set the type of tooling they want on specific geometries that apply to their part families.
Okay, so they teach it once, and then they get the guaranteed outcomes every time those features reappear, on into the future.
Exactly.
That's really important. Okay, so you made some improvements and enhancements to pattern punching.
Yeah, so what we've added is something called elastic tooling. Before, your punch patterns had to be very specific to the part geometry. And now what we've found is we've been able to expand that so that the start and end entities on that pattern can be flexible. So customers that maybe make a toolbox of different sizes, they might make a 6-inch toolbox or an 8-inch toolbox or whatever the metric equivalent is of that as well. They're able to have one pattern that will tool certain features on that toolbox with the same punch pattern and not have to create multiple patterns for the same part.
Okay, so parts that are just have the same features but are different sizes. It helps us bridge the gap in automating the tooling for those use cases.
Exactly.
That's very cool. That can save a lot of time for production programmers.
Absolutely. Yeah, so what we found in the market was that some of our production programmers were complaining that they had to create different patterns for all these different sizes of parts, when really what's happening is the same sort of pattern is happening. It's just like slightly different entity sizes on the start and end. So this new feature is going to be hugely helpful for them, really speed up their production and speed up their setup time as well in the software. So they're able to create those couple of patterns for their different part families and not have to create just all sorts of different ones for different sizes.
Sure, I mean, and that obviously makes the software easier to use as well, and frankly more enjoyable to use.
Yeah, creating those predictable outcomes is definitely a route we want to go with things, and it makes it easier for those less experienced programmers as well, because the more experienced person can set up the pattern, the less experienced person can apply and doesn't have to worry about, having to tweak the tooling all the time.
And that matters because it's hard to find people, or that's what we hear in the market all the time. And additionally, there isn't as much time for training new employees as we would like. So anything that gets people up to speed quicker with less errors and lower scrap helps.
Absolutely.
That looks great, Christina. I can definitely see how that will make a difference for production programmers.
I'm looking forward to getting it into their hands and seeing how it affects their production.
Thanks, Christina. So, you can see there from everybody's contributions of all the different teams that we have a few themes. We want to make the product easier to use for our users because, that benefits a lot of different people inside our customer organizations. Whether it was the automation of bringing in the data from the bending tools, and it can save people typing things up on the front end. And then because the information is of higher quality, it may also save time and energy and rework out on the factory floor. It really just depends on you getting to understand who the stakeholders are, who the participants are, at any customer site. So yeah, ease of use and automating and eliminating steps. They are sort of the big takeaways here for what we're doing in CAD/CAM and really just trying to make it better. We've got the product owners live on the line here, just like your favorite radio shows. So if anybody has any questions or anything like that you want to put into the mix, now's the time for that before we move on to the next area. No pressure, but we wanted to be sure to make time for for you guys here as well. Thank you to the product team that got all of that together. So we're going to move on now to the next section here, and we're going to talk about SimTrans. SimTrans is such a key piece. It falls under the broad umbrella of a business system software, but it's a really special tool because of what it does. So we'll jump right into this. With Paul Ikeda about some of the exciting new changes and developments in SimTrans version 24.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Along with everything else we've heard, SimTrans also received some pretty cool enhancements for version 24. The first was regarding feedback. So SimTrans is able to pull in data from an ERP system regarding what sheets to create, what orders, the part quantities, and all that. But the bidirectional feedback nature of SimTrans has always been a little bit of an extra activity for us to set up and configure. It does involve us getting involved. It involves like another application and all that. So based on feedback from our own teams, bringing that into the core product as something that can be set up inside of SimTrans and get going from factory install into something that works with the customer's integration was a paramount goal for us in 24, and so that we're happy to say that that's now in. The feedback settings are just something can be opened by a user or one of our engineers in SimTrans directly, and you can set up whatever trigger you want, whether it's time-based or when a program is updated. But it's very flexible. It's all based on SQL queries of where what data needs to go where. And so if you need to get highly technical with it, it's able to handle that. But the main idea of being able to maybe even self-sufficiently set up this from maybe an IT person's perspective is now possible, whereas in the past it was impossible.
Well, with SimTrans being a mission critical piece of software, for the users to have it, it only makes sense that we would pay more attention to their in-house IT people and what their needs and capabilities are.
Yeah, and if those needs change or evolve, just like adding to a SigmaNEST batch file, like a few extra things, because an end user can actually edit a batch file. For this SimTrans feedback now, it's a matter of editing a different kind of file to maybe put more data somewhere else or add other properties. It's all very flexible and scalable from within the core product itself now.
No, that's excellent. Now, I understand that you also did some work to make SimTrans sort of easier to diagnose, easier to deploy, and easier to troubleshoot.
Yes, by its nature, as it sits between a relatively large complex system like a customer's ERP and our connected shop, our SigmaNEST, our MRP products, when troubles arise, you really want to be able to hone in and diagnose the problem quickly. So we're happy to say that SimTrans Studio is a new application, utility, I should say, that is included in SimTrans 24 that has a user interface where the end user, an IT person, could open this up, run some tests to check some common gotchas or hiccups in a SimTrans environment, and kind of point those out, as opposed to immediately giving us a call or having to kind of go through a gambit of check this, check that, check this. So this application does that. It's something that we hope to add additional tests as versions go along, where we can actually script it in anything about the environment, folder permissions, database connection strings. It'll make sure that the SigmaNEST license is configured properly. Just a whole barrage of automated tests that a user can run from one button click. And that should save a lot of diagnostic time.
I mean, that's a major improvement. I mean, I think anybody has been around the product understands that it can be tough to diagnose, like you said. So this is a really, really important improvement, and I don't doubt lots of people are excited to see it. And even I'm thinking we could expand this concept as well to the other products with time, and just make the product suite in general more self-supporting.
Yeah, it was built in a way to be scaled. It actually has the capability to run custom tests as well as a plugin. So we're just thinking of how we're getting smarter about when we build something, it cannot be so rigid, it can't be so specific that it becomes hard to maintain or hard to expand upon. So platforms like this, where it can be built upon and added to very easily, is really kind of how we view the future, because it's changing so fast. We've got so many customers that want to do so many things different ways. It's the only way for us to keep up, is being very flexible and building our applications to suit that.
Sure. Paul, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
So, thanks, Paul, again for that, for all the work your team did and for, talking us through it. So, you can see some of the key takeaways here again are, empowering our users to be more self-sufficient, and two ways we can make that happen is, improved access to their data with the reporting, the backwards reporting, to help them make better decisions in real time or in a timely manner. And then the higher reliability and uptime of a critical component with the SimTrans Studio for the being able to diagnose and deploy. These things, you'll see the same themes here again and again, where we want to connect the components in our users' shop, to have them more tightly coupled with high reliability, and less interruptions and ease of use. So it's a constant march to improving the end-to-end experience there. Any questions? Anybody have any questions or thoughts on that? Do you want to flow here while we have the product team? Do we have a suggestion there for pre-sorting? Well, I think if they are we might not need those at all if we're talking about sending data upstream. If that's what you're talking about, Gianni, those CSVs may not even be needed at all. We have a direct pipe now. If that's Paul can add to that if that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, for pre-sorting, I guess I was going to ask you separately, but do you mean like filtering or checking the validity of the files? We list the CSVs in SimTrans today, so you can look at them. We let you open them. I was just wondering if you want to expand on that, or if not, I can follow up with you separately too.
Awesome, thanks, Paul. Okay, then we'll move along to the broader business systems category. Business systems is a huge category, and for us it's a SigmaQuote and MRP, and the newer parts to our portfolio, and that technology pillar. So we'll get going here. I'm here right now with Wayne Cathers, product owner for business systems. Let me start by having Wayne just introduce himself, and then we'll pick it up from there. Wayne, could you tell us a bit about your role here at SigmaNEST?
Sure. I'm the product owner for the business systems side of the software. I manage the development of all of the business systems and shop floor products, everything from SigmaQuote and MRP to the shop floor products like Shop Manager, Load Manager, and Color Offload.
Thanks, Wayne. And obviously, we all know that's super important going forward. So what's something you and your team are excited of and proud of here that's coming out in version 24?
Yeah, so in version 24, we've added the ability for users to set multiple delivery addresses for a single contact. So before version 24, each contact could only have one address, their physical address, which is where you would typically deliver. But obviously there's a lot of customers out there that might want you to deliver to their warehouse sometimes or to their work site another time. So we wanted to give users the ability to enter in multiple delivery addresses that can be easily selected for each contact.
I mean, it sounds like an obvious improvement.
For sure.
And that opens up some doors for us as well, right?
Yes. So specifically for the U.S. market, a lot of the way that taxes work in the U.S., different than how it works in Europe, is that the taxes are charged based on where you're delivering the item.
Oh, okay.
So what we were also able to do with this feature is expand it to where now we can assign a tax rate to a particular delivery address. So anytime you make a job, and therefore you make a delivery to a particular location, we can calculate the amount of taxes that are going to have to be charged for that job on the fly based on where you're actually delivering the parts.
Oh, that's obviously then a big improvement, especially here for the U.S. market.
Correct. Definitely for the U.S. market, it's something that for now customers are kind of working around, or they're making multiple contacts, each contact having a different delivery location, and then they set a tax rate for that, and it gets real messy. So it was a lot easier, and it's going to be a lot more simple now for our U.S. customers, where they can just have a bunch of different delivery addresses, set a tax rate against each of those delivery addresses, and then the software takes it from there.
I mean, it's a perfect example of the software moving in the direction of our customers, not forcing them, to create countermeasures and funny ways of working. That's a great example of really building software to meet our customers' needs.
Absolutely. So it may not seem like one of those big features or the big notable features like dashboards or new applications, but what we really wanted to do was focus on, for all of our different customers, in this case specifically for the U.S. customers, what are they spending a lot of time doing? What about the software are they having to work around to make it fit their needs? And we wanted to tackle some of those problems.
Now, I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, and I can see how it completely, ties in with the theme again of having the business systems and the shop floor and the CAD/CAM, come together and have it be a more seamless experience that ultimately makes customers more productive and more profitable.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
For sure.
Now, I know there were some user interface improvements as well, or also just general improvements that you mentioned.
Yep, one of the big user interface improvements that we made was to SigmaQuote and Sigma MRP. We redesigned and revamped the ribbon for the software.
Okay, and what benefit does that bring, and who does it help?
So the big thing we looked at was it was specifically for quoting users. We got a lot of different comments from customers, from prospects, and from our sales team that said the UI looks really cluttered. There's lots of buttons. The buttons that we need to use the most are little bitty tiny. They're not easily accessible. So we set out to look at all of the ribbon buttons and all the ribbons for Sigma MRP and Sigma Quote, and we wanted to make everything a bit more streamlined. So the buttons are now the same size. You have easier access to the buttons you use the most, and the whole user interface looks a lot less cluttered and a lot less kind of scary for the new users.
I mean, you're saying new users, and that's what I was thinking, because it sounds like that'll help new users get started up more quickly, and just make it easier to train people, simplify the process of training, and lower the time involved.
Yeah, simplicity is really the goal in this one. You can look at all the different quoting softwares that are on the market right now, and simplicity and ease of use is one of the top things that all the different quoting softwares are going for. And that's kind of the communications that we've had and the feedback we've had from the sales teams is we're trying to sell this product, but our customers are looking at it and saying, man, that's a lot of buttons. Man, that's a lot of stuff. And they kind of can get scared off by the seeming complexity of the software. So by redesigning what that ribbon looks like and putting the right icons in the right place, it makes the software look a bit more inviting and a lot less bulky and a lot less complicated and cumbersome to use.
Sure. I mean, and that has to result in a faster quote turnaround time for our customers as well, because if it's easier to use and they're making less mistakes,
Correct.
I mean, it has to make them more productive in the eyes of their customers.
Yeah, and more productive in doing the day-to-day work and easier to train. If there's less buttons, if there's less things that you have to show your new users what to click, then it helps. Part of the feature also was to make the ribbon customizable, just like in SigmaNEST. So if there's certain buttons you don't use, certain features that you don't use, or the users don't want to see, they can hide those.
Wow, and I can definitely see the before and after. I mean, no doubt that's going to be a good feature.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mike. So I understand your team did a lot of work to integrate the Tube product into the larger business system.
Yeah, so we'll be introducing a new jobs and inventory system for SigmaTube for SolidWorks. We'll also have quoting support there too. So all of our programs that come out of SigmaTube are also going to be integrated with Load Manager and SigmaSchedule, and there'll even be a Tube feedback app for the shop floor.
Okay, so really now, I mean, the Tube is not just CAD/CAM anymore, but just like the flat materials, the tubular and the linear materials are integrated with quoting through into CAD/CAM and out and through the shop floor into the business system.
Yeah, and even on the quoting side, we've implemented support for nested costs, so allocating scrap from the nesting process to each piece that's been nested. So something that we're used to on the flat side and even in CTL, but now also for your tubular material.
I mean, that's a bit of a game changer for, cost estimation and reconciliation on tubular and linear, because I don't think we have, there's not a lot of people able to do that today.
Yeah, it's definitely something new for the market in general.
So that's a great differentiating factor then, to be able to make that next step into controlling costs.
Yeah, so we're looking to expand our integrated ecosystem outside of just SigmaNEST and into the tubing world with the jobs and inventory and quoting side of SigmaTube for SolidWorks.
Thank you, Dakota. So, you can see here again on the business system side that, the name of the game for us again is simplifying the user experience. We want to make it, a little bit easier to use if we can, a lot easier to use if we really can, and still provide, better handling of people's data, better, moving the data through the different parts of the product suite, and making it available to people when they need it to be able to use it for better decision making. So that's very much the approach here again. Any questions or extra thoughts on anything we just saw there on the business system technology pillar? I mean, you can see, just as an example, that even though this is under the category of business systems, it still interfaces with the 5 M's. Because we can still be saving material, we can still be making the machine more efficient if we think about the tube processing. We can still improve the management of the process and so on and so forth. So if you're going back to watch these again later, you can jot down for each one, how does each technology pillar interface with the 5Ms, for what the value it brings is, and then like which roles in a prospect or a customer are your targets. Who would you be aiming that toward? And the answer is really almost always more than one. There's always more than one target you can aim at within a prospect with these things. But we'll move on here if there's no questions coming in to the shop floor. And so again, this is this I'm excited about the shop floor. I can hardly even tell you. So what's something you and your team are excited of and proud of here that's coming out in version 24?
Sure. One of the big things that we introduced, new features that we introduced in version 24 is dashboard functionality. So users are going to be able to create and edit their own dashboards and KPIs that they'll be able to view in Shop Manager from any device that has web browser.
I mean, with the way businesses are relying more and more, to have real-time, salient, relevant data to make real decisions, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that was the key point for developing this particular feature. We have lots of customers for years that have been using custom reports and their own way of doing data mining, but we wanted to give users a way to be able to very easily see all of the data that's already in their system and just make it visible for them so they could more easily make the kinds of business decisions that everyone needs to make on a daily basis.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. So I can imagine, there'll obviously be customizable dashboards that they can tweak for themselves, but for our sales team, the people watching here today, they will also be able to demo specific dashboards that are meaningful to every customer.
Absolutely. So with the release of version 24, we'll have 3 built-in out-of-the-box dashboards that show things about sales, show things about the machines, your different SigmaNEST machines, how much you've cut, scrap percentages, things like that. And then, of course, users, employees, salesmen, anyone can modify those dashboards or create their own.
Let's take a look at that.
Sure.
Okay, so even those 3 dashboards are a way of tying together the shop floor activity, some of the activity about the business, and some of the financial activity, sales and quotes and return rate and all of that.
Absolutely.
I know there were a lot of other improvements as well, both the SigmaQuote and the Business System Suite. Would you like to share some of those with us?
Sure. Another feature that we added is we call it security groups. So for the last number of years, since we really launched Shop Manager a couple years ago, you've been able to set permissions in Shop Manager to be able to give access to certain parts of it to certain users. But there was never really a way to set those as a group where you could easily go in and say, this user belongs to group A, so they automatically get all of these particular permission settings. We've now implemented a new feature to where you can set those groups, and then each group can have access to certain features in Shop Manager, and you can easily assign those groups to users.
In the world where everybody is more worried about data security, that sounds like a very reasonable and worthwhile addition to the product.
Yeah, we think so. Like I said, you've been able to set those security permissions for a while now, but it was very manual. You had to go into each individual user and set them individually. In a world where we're seeing a lot more turnover and different employees coming and going, we needed a quicker and easier way to just quickly assign a bunch of permissions to a user all at once.
Let's take a look at that.
Sure.
And we understand as well that our customers' IT teams are also users, in the real world. And so this is a way of, connecting with that stakeholder group.
Yes, and it also helps to make sure, specifically for the IT teams, once they get the permission set up once, they don't have to remember and cross-reference which people can have which access to which apps. They can just create the groups with our help if needed, and then from then on, they can just assign the groups.
No, that's definitely an important feature. Thanks, Wayne, for that. So I understand as well on the business side, you've added new tools to handle customer complaints and customer returns. Is that true?
Yes. So in version 24, in the quality manager portion of the shop manager application, which for the last couple of years you've been able to log and create things like non-conformance reports and corrective action plans. The next kind of feature in the whole QMS quality management system world is logging complaints. So when customers complain, you can log those in the system to keep a track and history of them, and also log returns. So when a customer returns some parts that either were damaged, weren't good enough quality, or need to be reprocessed, we can log that in the system now.
Okay, so that means then we can ultimately do root cause analysis by being able to understand that over time, because we have that data as well, or our customers will have that information.
Correct. And it'll also help us to be able to help our customers be able to start seeing trends. So they can see, if there are certain customers that are doing returns more often, they can use that to make business decisions. Are there particular parts that are being cut on certain machines that are getting returned more often? All of that then ties into the dashboards that we talked about earlier, where they can start visualizing that data to kind of make those business decisions that are going to really affect the bottom line of the shop.
I mean, I can see lots of use cases. I can easily see at the point of generating a quote or estimate, you also want to know if that same customer is difficult or problematic and has a lot of returns, because it might change how you deal with them.
Absolutely.
So having that visibility to the people who need to have it when they need to have it is definitely the way to go.
Absolutely. And the returns feature also allows us to automate the sending of emails, so we can automatically notify different people throughout the shop when the returns were taken, so that the rest of the shop can take the next steps into putting those parts back into production and reproducing things. It also lays the groundwork for some expansion that we want to work on in version 25 to be able to automatically recreate those rework jobs to immediately get those put back into production. So it's a stepping stone that gives customers a lot of good functionality now, and it lays the groundwork for more functionality to come.
No, that's very good. Let's take a look at that.
Sure.
So that falls in line with our our theme of integrating more and more and bringing the shop together. That total connectivity, that can shop floor connection, business connection.
For sure. There's been, for years, customers have been dealing with different software packages where you have different data in a bunch of different places. And our whole concept with the connected shop is to bring all of that under one roof. And now that we have everything under one roof, we've now implemented a way for users to really easily see that data.
Sure. No, that's fantastic, Wayne. And obviously, this will be something we will continue to build in and build on and improve as we go forward. But at least now we have something.
For sure.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Wayne, for that. So I think you can see here that our themes are fairly consistent. We are continuing to try and tighten up the relationship between the different activities for our users. Whether it's the CAD/CAM departments, with the business systems, with the shop floor. And you can begin to see that the shop floor is really going to become the shining star here, because the shop floor are the people with the information that everybody else often needs, how things might need to be done or want to be done, and and then being able to report back what really happened on the shop floor, whether there was problems with parts or how long things took and so on and so forth. So having all of that, having the data there, and being able to to report on the activities and the status changes that are happening, is a really big deal. And it's and I know that team worked hard to to bring these new features to bear. So that's pretty exciting. It's really exciting for me. I'm a big fan of this. So any questions? Any ideas or questions or thoughts about how that might impact how you talk to your customers, how you think about your customers, when you think about that end-to-end narrative? Not so much.
Kevin, this is Greg here. One main takeaway that I'm seeing here is that you can tell. First, I want to congratulate everyone that took part in creating version 24. I do see the theme, and the one theme I see is that we're really trying to improve the lives of our customers. So that's one thing, from the sales perspective, I think everybody can take that to, to bat with them, is that we do care about our customers here, and you can see it in our product development. So congratulations, guys. Kudos to you. You did a damn good job.
I mean, I can echo that. I know the product owners and the devs, have all worked hard, behind the scenes, and in front of the scenes sometimes even to do this. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for the kind words. Let me move on here then from shop floor. But I mean, we'll have another stop at the end, and we'll move on to some just general, user interface, user experience topics here that are just sort of scattered more loosely around the portfolio, because while we're showing you some of the major thematic features here, there are also a myriad. There's many other features which aren't really rising to the the level of this meeting, but they'll be in the what's new documentation and all of the other assets that'll be out when the time comes. But we'll just jump on here.
One of the new features that we brought to SigmaNEST in version 24 that I'm personally excited about is the new task dialog. It's a window that's been in SigmaNEST for a very long time, but could have used some touch-ups here and there, and as well as new functionality that just wasn't possible in the software before. And so for that, I wanted to kind of share with us and take a look at what that looks like here in SigmaNEST here. So here we have version 23 and earlier, the tasks window, the grid, the buttons on the right. And in version 24, there's a ribbon toolbar, the grid as well, but new functionality that we've added. You can now create and load jobs from this window. There are new workspace reports that look at the tasks. Some new commands that can apply to selected tasks, like posting. Speaking of posting, you can see program names and the number of sheets and a summary at the bottom. Just for comparison, We've got the old version on the right and the new version on the left. And what we're looking at here is just the consolidation of that workflow, going from what I calculated to be over 90 clicks on the right, going through each of the tabs and then clicking the buttons, down to just over 15 clicks on the left for version 24, 4 minutes down to 2 minutes, just an optimization across the board from that end-to-end workflow involving your tasks.
That's an amazing achievement, Paul. I mean, that's such a productivity gain. I expect that we will want to ensure that we, teach and train on that, and that we also use that new workflow and demonstrations to customers, right, to be sure it's adopted.
Yeah, that's the beauty of these changes, is it benefits brand new users that are just learning the software and need a simple kind of go-to command center, if you will, to deal with tasks. As well as power users, longtime users, where they've traditionally had to do a little bit more to get the same result. And so that's been consolidated and sped up for them in a nice new window.
No, that's excellent, Paul. Thanks very much for that. So I understand, Paul, that you made some improvements to the remnant function as well, some improvements to make it a bit easier for people to understand what was being saved. That's right?
Yeah, remnants is such a vital piece of SigmaNEST. It's a core piece of functionality that's been there a long time, and users really love the ability to leverage it and have it digitally reflect what's on the shop floor. And so SigmaNEST has grown over the years in its capabilities with remnants, and so this new feature for hatching allows us to graphically represent remnants directly on the sheet themselves. So the programmer now can see where and if remnants have been created on the sheet. So no need to generate a report just to go check it out and see what the remnants were. You get the visual cues of where they're positioned on the sheet. Maybe an automatically generated remnant was too small, and so the programmer can actually notice that now and correct it before even sending it out to the shop floor. And for the operators themselves now, they can see this visual graphic highlighting on the report graphics as well. So the PDF, or if they're printing out a piece of paper, will show up now on the nest and highlight where the remnants are, what their sizes, the relative sizes are to the parts in the original stock sheet. So that's a nice visual cue, takes the guesswork or kind of digging into our information windows in SigmaNEST now. It's all just right in your face with the visual itself.
No, I mean, that makes a lot of sense when you say it. I mean, that's going to save time, I mean, obviously for the programmer, but on the shop floor as well, because the same operator then knows how to organize their environments, like where they have to store things, or if they have space, and the handling requirements, if they're big, heavy things versus smaller things. So there's benefit all around. Let me ask you, why did we build this? Like, where did this come from? Was it internal, or was it spawned from the users, or how did that come about?
Yeah, this request actually came both from our own engineers that work on technical support and are in the field talking with customers, as well as the customers themselves directly. This was found on our suggestions portal. So we kind of merged and worked through and sifted the different perspectives and requests and said, this is not just a new checkbox somewhere in the software. It's a holistic enhancement to the usage and ability to notice where remnants are in a visual sense. So we put that together both inside of SigmaNEST and the reports. It's something that will help particularly new users if they're kind of getting started with remnants. Maybe they just bought the module, added it onto SigmaNEST, or are getting started with SigmaNEST to begin with. And this idea of using remnants, making sure they're being used, making sure the right remnants are getting created for the right nests. We're just taking that guesswork out. So maybe it's saving a few redo kind of rework kind of activities for those guys. And every click, every minutes that we can save from just having to go back and fix something that it was not intended, I think it matters in the end.
No, that's great. I mean, and I'm equally excited just to hear that it was, our own process was improved as well by, working from the suggestions portal and having internal requests and, and doing all of that front end planning and product management, right? That's obviously, the right way to work. So we're all excited about that. Paul, thank you very much for that. So you can see here, that's the final video set here in the collection. But hopefully you can see the goal, you can see the journey we're trying to take with our customers and to help them move their shops forward to being more connected and more integrated, and try to make a difference at each step along the way, to improve the overall journey. At this point, if there are any questions, it's open floor, open mic, please, everybody's welcome to add to the overall discussion here. The product owners are here, so they're ready to fill in any gaps and expand on the understanding. If we want to do
This
that.
is Ari. I just had a question. These videos that you've done is pretty amazing and engaging and informative, all of that. And I know they're geared towards us, in sales, but is there anything that you're doing that we might be able to use, or links to YouTube or something, videos we're talking to our customers that you've developed recently?
Ari, thanks for that question. As you've seen this meeting, this launch before, a number of different times, and this was an experiment with us to try a new format. We wanted to do something that was maybe a little bit more lively, was a little bit more personable, but still reusable. And it was a chance for us to try and pick up some new skills across the group and figuring out how to shoot and edit the video and audio to try and package these together. It's an emerging skill set. I think we all agreed that we would like to be able to produce things of the quality that they could be, customer facing as well. But we felt safe enough with the friendly internal audience to you'd be graceful with all of us for our learning curve here. But I think we would like that. I mean, do you guys think that it would be useful and engaging with customers and prospects if we had content like this, about features in ways that pitch the benefit that people could understand? I mean, what do you guys think?
Absolutely. I didn't want to sound too much like a fanboy. My daughter gets on to me when I do that, but man, I was really proud watching each one of you all and your videos. You're doing a wonderful job, and I know it's not easy, but I'm really excited to see what you guys are doing, and hopefully just want to encourage you all to make some good videos for us to get out there on YouTube and all these different areas.
Kevin, a lot of times with some of these videos, it's hard to take in the information. The way you structured this with the rest of the team, it's hyper palatable, man. You did a good job. I really liked it.
I'm encouraged by that because, in the end, everybody, I know everybody, on our side of the fence really just does want to empower you guys with sort of more useful, more engaging, more effective ways to be able to put that right message in front of the right people at the right time. So by breaking it down according to the technology pillars and the M's and the benefit, just being able to try and distill that a little bit and improve how we deliver it. I mean, that's what we're here to do, that with you guys and for you guys. So I think we probably want to continue.
I also think it's worth me chiming in a couple things, because we're talking about how to follow up with this. I'll drop in the chat here kind of the raw content that kind of is more than what was talked about here. So when we say like what's new, it's not just only these videos and a few features that we talked about. So this is kind of the whole what's new hero features kind of internal document that we have. Ted and our technical writer and Kevin and I are kind of forming a customer-facing what's new document. So this is different than what will also still be provided, our release notes, which is kind of like the technical nitty-gritty details of both enhancements and bug fixes. So that is separate than what we'll call our what's new hero features documentation that will basically be a repackaging of the stuff in that link there. And then, you know, the videos that were shown in here, kind of intermixed in the interviews, I believe are going to end up on YouTube as just standalone things, right? So when we're showing, you know, the Auto NC preview feature, which is from Alex's team, that can be just shown from a YouTube link as well. So we do have dozens of videos. The interview stuff, I think Kevin will have to figure out kind of where to go from there with that, with at least iteration. But just wanted to comment on, okay, there's a ton of different resources and content just encircling, you know, the version 24 stuff here that we're going to continue to share. The plan is to release 24 this week yet, so you'll look for that in my my favorite email to send every quarter is we've shipped and here's all the stuff and all that thing. So that should be coming this week. But yeah, just wanted to kind of comment on that. Well, since we're all together here.
That's really exciting. I always like seeing we shipped something as well. And I can't go another second further without, you know, a special shout out to Ted. You know, Ted heals many sins. I cannot say enough about how Ted, you know, made all of them, you know, certainly maybe make me look better than I think I am. So yeah, thank you very much, Ted. You know, unless there's, you know, any other sort of, you know, product questions here, you know, we'll tie it off with some extra pieces. You know, Paul, I think, just captured, you know, what's happening here. I'll just mention the number 2, which is the training timeline. You know, we on product development, we've already been reaching out and integrating with the operations side to start knowledge sharing. You know, because we know that you and the sales want to be able to hit the ground running here and to be able to, you know that the teams on the inside have your back when we start pushing this out into the market, which is what we want to do. So there's a number of sessions here. There's Teams meetings, which you can join. They're on the calendar anyway, but I'm just, you know, reproducing it here just so we know what the set is. A few of them have already happened. You know, we have dashboards for the shop manager tomorrow. So that's an exciting new feature. It's brand new and it's a huge capability. So any of you can jump in on this and see how this is working. And then, you know, on so on and so forth, we have a little bit of a break for the holidays. Then back in January, you know, next thing, sim trends, profile cutting, so on and so forth. So, you know, this is a way to do a deeper dive than the preview. And you know, and think more about how you can, you know, pitch this to prospects and customers, you know, and again, you know, keeping in focus the technology pillars and the 5 M's, you know, and the personas and the roles and how you know want to package that in you know, in your territories in ways that suit your style. But I mean, thank you all for joining us here today. You know, I mean, thank the product team. All the developers behind the scenes who aren't here today, you know, Ted, Catherine, Mark, you know, on the marketing side, and everybody else that you know, I've maybe forgot to mention. And anybody wants to catch it again in 12 hours, please feel free to join us. That's all I have. Thanks very much, everybody, and go get them with version 24.